There are two main types of garlic, softneck and hardneck. Softneck garlic, like the Idaho silver I'm planting, typically has more cloves per bulb. It's easier to braid and stores longer. It's typically grown in warmer climates, but it does just fine in my Ohio garden. Hardneck garlic, on the other hand, has fewer but larger cloves. It's a bit hardier and offers delicious scapes in early summer, perfect for pesto, sautéing, or even fermenting. First, I need to prepare the cloves for planting. This is known as a bulb, or often called a head of garlic. We want a healthy bulb and to gently separate it into individual cloves. This process is known as cracking. It involves applying a gentle pressure at the base to loosen the cloves while keeping their papery skins intact. It's important to handle the cloves carefully to avoid damaging their protective skins before planting, as any breach can expose them to diseases and reduce their viability. I like to use my fingernail to run down each clove because it helps to keep the skin intact on the clove itself. I select the largest, healthiest looking cloves for planting, as these will have the most energy stored and are likely to produce robust plants. I discard any cloves that are bruised or appear shriveled or infected by a mold or anything, and I keep the smaller ones for cooking. By choosing the best cloves, you ensure a vigorous start for the garlic, setting a stage for a successful growing season. In this bed, I'm planting softneck garlic. First, I'll apply an organic fertilizer, and then I'll lay out each clove about 4 to 6 inches apart. This spacing allows the garlic plant enough room to grow without too much competition. So now I just need to go over and get compost to cover the beds. After they're all laid out, I cover them with a thick layer of compost. Since I've never tried this method before, I'm curious to see how it will work compared to planting them in the soil. Next, I'll lay out these hardneck varieties in the other bed. Finally, I'll cover the bed with fencing to keep out critters, especially Lucy, one of my hens that can always find a way out of the chicken yard. And I'm sure she would love to dig right through this rich compost. I'll use a mix of leaves and grass clippings we'll be collecting soon. We have a bagger attachment on the mower that shreds them up nicely, and I use them to make leaf mold and compost. These not only protect the garlic over the winter, but also break down over time, adding further nutrients to the soil. I've been doing this in my garden beds for years, whether or not anything is planted. It helps keep the soil covered over the winter and is a wonderful mulch throughout the season. And that's it, our garlic is planted. All we have to do now is wait. And over the coming months, these beds will need very little maintenance, just making sure that the mulch is in place and that there's enough moisture. The garlic has looked fantastic all season, but I couldn't wait to harvest. And so I always start with the garlic scapes. Garlic scapes are the tender stem and flower bud of hardneck garlic. This means the plants are trying to flower. Once you see those outer leaves start to wither away and they flop over, those are telltale signs that it is time to remove them. Here's an example of one that stayed in the ground just a little too long. You can see the outer skin is worn away. So I'll just have, it's still good, fine to eat, and I'll just make sure that I set it aside and it will get eaten early. So the fork lets me get deep and loosen the top layer, whereas the shovel lets me get more concentrated around the bulb so that I don't damage it. You want the outer skin to be firm and intact for better storage. I try to get as much of the soil off the surface as I can before curing. All right, so now they're in the shade over here where they can get plenty of airflow. They will take at least 2 weeks to cure, maybe more if it's a little bit humid. And if it rains, I can just put them up on the covered deck. We want them to stay dry for that curing period. Most of them look pretty good, rather large. So I moved everything up onto the deck. This is about a week later. You can see the tops have begun to brown. As the garlic dries, the skin shrinks and turns papery. This forms a protective barrier against moisture and mold for long-term storage. Before I store these long-term, I'll make sure that that outer skin is intact. If not, I simply set it aside, and I will make sure to eat that in the near future. So once the stem is completely dry, I just brush off this outer layer. And then I will give it a little snip right about here. So just about an inch up. Notice this one here has a cracked outer skin. You can actually see the cloves down in there. This is one that is still quite nice, but I will set it aside and just make sure to eat it in the next month or two. There's no hurry, but it won't be good for long-term storage. But these garlic scapes are delicious. All right, and then we put roughly the same amount of salt, give or take. Thanks for joining me today, and don't forget to check in the description box below for that 5% discount on Epic Gardening. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing, especially if you want to follow along and see how everything goes. And drop me a comment down below. Let me know how your garlic experiences have gone, or if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.